कुछ humming है शानू. Namaskar and a very warm welcome to NCERT's live interactive program. I am Neha Tripathi. We are here with yet another session of webinar. Today we are going to talk about browser safety and protecting online account. Internet safe surfing is a habit. Browsing internet is the need, but safety and security is the issue. So we have come up with 2 sessions on internet safety. Today, as I said, we will learn about browser safety and protecting online account, and tomorrow we'll have our webinar session on don't fall for scams, protecting your online reputation. For both sessions, we will have with us Mr. Lucian Teo. He is Education and Outreach Manager from Google. He is joining us from Singapore right away. Welcome to the session, Mr. Lucian.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll come back to you in a few seconds. Before we start our conversation for the day, here I want to add that you can ask your questions related to the topic on our toll-free numbers, which are 1800111265 and 1800112199. You can even send your queries on our official YouTube channel, NCERT Official, in the comment section. And you can mail us your queries on our email address ciet.kishormanch@gmail.com. So let's begin our session for the day, and we will take up viewers' questions and queries at the end of the session. So keep posting us. So Mr. Lucian, you are going to give us tips about one of the most important issues in our lives. Browser safety and protection tips is the need of the hour. Let's go ahead.
Thank you so much. Before I begin, I wanted to reach out to all the educators out there. So my wife is a teacher as well, and my mother, before she retired, was an administrator in the school for many years. So I totally feel the great responsibility you have for the younger generation, and I want to applaud the hard work that you're putting in right here. So today we will talk about safely browsing the internet, and I'll turn to my slides if you don't mind, and then we'll go through it.
Sure, please.
Thank you.
The slides help us understand the subject better. Visuals speak louder than words.
So I trust that you can see my slides now?
Yes, we can,
okay.
Clearly.
So this is me. I'm a user education and outreach manager from Singapore, and like all of you, I'm actually at home as well. So we can't go out, we can only do basic grocery shopping. And in the last few months, I'm sure like you, the internet has become a big part of our life, bigger than it used to be. So today we will learn a few things, right? We will learn how to browse the internet safely, how to protect your account, and we'll touch a little bit on how to keep your mobile phone safe. And then tomorrow we'll talk about how not to fall for online scams or fake information, and how to manage your online reputation. So like I mentioned, the internet has become this huge part of our lives in the last month, the last 2 months. Before that, we would go out to restaurants, or we'll eat around, right, with family and friends. We'll do a lot of going out and having fun. These days, we need to order food in. Some of us even order groceries and have it delivered to our house. Even the watching of movies has changed. Now we go to online for entertainment and everything. So the internet has become a place where we do most of our activities these days. And it's very important that we know how to do all of this safely. And the thing about everything we do online, it requires us to create a login, right? 2 months ago, if I asked you, did you have an account for ordering food? Most of us wouldn't have had that, but we've had to create these accounts because now we're all at home. We need to create things to buy online services. And so we create login after login with different platforms and on different services. When we talk about creating an online account, the most important thing to talk about is your password. Your password is the key that opens up your access, right, to your online services, how you pay for it, where the goods get sent. Everything is locked by your password. In the US, there's a show called The Jimmy Kimmel Show. It's one of those late night talk shows. And a number of years ago, what Jimmy Kimmel did was he just took his camera, he went downstairs of the studio, and he just asked users, what is your password? And he wanted to see if people would be a little bit more careful about sharing. I won't show you the video, but I can walk through how some of the conversations went. So he just went downstairs, he looked up anybody, and he asked, we're doing a segment on cybersecurity. Can you tell me what your password is? And the person, so this is just one individual, but many individuals did the same thing. So the person didn't want to tell the password, but said, oh, it's my dog's name and the year I graduated from high school. And then they would chat a little bit. They'll talk about, oh, you have a dog. It's so cute. What kind of dog is it? And then she'll say, oh, my dog is a certain breed, right? How long have you had it? Oh, so many years. And then during the conversation, he'll ask, oh, so what is your dog's name? And the person, oh, my dog's name is Jameson. And then they'll talk a little bit more and they'll talk about, which high school did you go to? And what year did you graduate? And the person will say 2009. Right? So from here, you all can already tell the person has already given up the whole password, both the username and both the name of the dog, and then as well as the year they graduated in. You put the two together, you got the user's password. So we know that strong passwords keep our accounts protected, right? But the very first thing we need to understand, what is a strong password? Most of us already know this, I'm sure, right? We know that strong passwords have numbers, right? They are made up of large and small characters. And the truth is, passwords become a little bit hard to remember. But if you do a survey across the world, right? This is a list of the top passwords used around the world, right? Some of you look at this and maybe you laugh, right? Who would choose such a simple passwords? But I've been to enough schools in many different countries. And if you go to the computer room, right? There's a computer lab in most schools. Sometimes you go there and you look on the desk, you will find that they will always paste the password there because people always forget. And most of the places I go to, the password is always password or password 123, right? So I'm sure even in India, if you go to the school, many school admin, they'll use the same password for these things. So if your password is among the list here, I would really, really encourage you, please change it, because the bad guys know that these are the most common passwords being used around the world.
But these are the most easily used as well. As you said that there is a computer lab. So anybody needs to access those computers in a school or in a lab.
Yes.
So they keep these passwords to make it easy so that you don't have to, let everyone know a completely new password and let them remember. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes, it is the password and the whole school knows about it. Anybody can go to the computer lab and use it.
Correct, but it also makes it easy for the bad guys to break in because everybody knows about it, right? So, So end of the day, we need to ask, what is the password protecting? And if it's worth protecting, then let's protect it properly.
Yes, that's true.
Right. So one tip I've always told people, we always use the word password, and so we restrict ourselves to just using one word as our password. So I'd rather think of it as a passphrase. Right? That means if you have a sentence for a password, it becomes more difficult for the bad guy to crack it. Because every word is in the dictionary. If I run the whole dictionary to guess your password, I'll find a word. But if it's a passphrase, now you're thinking of an entire phrase, a sentence. It becomes much harder. So an example, right? If you think of the sentence, I love to visit Kolkata for the food. And if you take the first letter of the sentence, of every word in the sentence, and you put them together, now all of a sudden you have something that looks like a stronger password, right? Something that people cannot guess. It's not in the dictionary. So it has large letters, it has small. You can even add in some numbers if you want, right? You change 2 to 2, capitalize some, make them small. So you have the symbols, all of that fits in. Now, the issue we have is not that people do not know what strong passwords are. I think most of your IT personnel force you already to make a strong password. So the moment you try to put in a new password, they'll tell you that, oh, you did not include a large. Then you include a large. Oh, you did not include numbers. So you include numbers. Oh, it's too short. They make it longer. And then you include symbols because the IT people insist that you do that. The problem we see these days, most common, people use the same password for everything. I know many of you out there watching this, this is exactly what you do. You have one strong password, you finally memorize it, and you use it for everything. You use it for shopping, right? You use it for email.
Agree. It is so difficult to remember. We keep one password for our online shopping, for our Google Mail accounts, for our office account, everything. We try to use that one only. That's
so this is the biggest mistake that people make today. And I'm talking about everywhere in the world I go. It's not only India. Singapore, we have the same problem. I go to the US, I talk to people, they use the same password for everything, right? Some people, when I speak to them face to face, they tell me, oh, no, I'm smarter than that, right? And I just look at them in the eye. and I go, I'm guessing maybe you have 3 passwords, but they're all the same. It's just that so you have one password that is the shortest one. Then you have a longer password, which is just a short one plus 2 numbers behind.
Okay.
And then maybe your third one is for maybe for banking. It's the middle password plus another 2 numbers behind. So it's actually all the same password. You just make it a little bit longer. But end of the day, if I steal one, I can guess the rest. It isn't hard. So the problem with using one password for everything, I will walk you through how the bad guys think. Okay? The reason is this: if I steal one of your passwords for anything you log in, I would have stolen your entire online identity. I would have stolen your email. I would have stolen all your social media accounts. I would have stolen your banking if your banking uses the same password, right? And what happens, okay, if I run through with you, what would probably happen? I will send an email to everybody. Everybody, I'll just send an email. I say there's a big sale. I'm selling maybe Nike shoes at 90% off. Now everybody's interested, right? You click on it. You come to my website. You look at all the shoes, beautiful shoes. Wow, the price is so cheap. You buy so many, and then you think, oh, maybe I'd buy some for my friends. Oh, my father needs a pair of shoes. I add everything to the shopping cart. When I'm about to check out, the website tells me, oh, you need to create an account so that you can pay. So you create an account. You put in your email address. Then the next one, they ask you for a password. The first password in your mind is a password you always use. And so you put that password right in. You click submit, create account. For some reason, the website doesn't work. It doesn't allow you to check out. So you give up, right? What you don't know is that the bad actor who has made the website doesn't actually want to sell you shoes. They just want to collect your password and your email address. So now they have your password, they have your email address. The first thing they do, they will go to all your services and try to log in with your username and your password, right? The first one they will target is your email. If they can crack into your email, then they will change your password so you can't even log into your email, right? And then they will go to your social media, they will try to log in every single one, and then they'll lock you out. Anyone that they cannot log in, they will just click reset, because now they have your email, right? So if you click reset, where does the email go? It goes to your email address. They can see the email. They say, yeah, I want to change the password. So they would have broken into all of your online accounts because you use the same one, and they just needed to steal one platform one time. That's why I tell people this is the biggest mistake most people make today. You need to have different passwords for all your logins. So whether it's your banking, whether it's your email, whether it's your photo sharing, it's good to have different passwords.
I hope you will also guide us how to remember them.
I was about to get there, right?
Yes, good.
So I just want to ask you, Neha, how many passwords do you think people have? Or how many logins do you think people have? Normal person.
Multiple logins. For social media, they must be having 8 to 10 logins for different social media platforms. Yeah. Then mail accounts, 3 to 4 mail accounts every person has. Office account will be different. Outlook will be different. There will be different account for children login, because these days online classes are going on. You know, multiple accounts, lot of them.
I know. So when I ask people, they make a guess, right? So they guess maybe about 40, 50 accounts. That's a pretty good guess. Yes. I have a list of all my passwords and all my login, and they're all different. So right now I have about 270 logins. Right? That is 270 different passwords, different login, right?
270?
Yes. Because you'd be surprised. Every time you buy something, they ask you like create a new one, and then you create and then you forget.
I forgot to mention that. Yes, it is there.
Right, shopping.
These things are also there, yes.
Every time you go to an online forum and you want to leave a comment, sometimes they ask you create an account. So you feel that this forum is quite fun, has a lot of people that you can identify with. So you create an account to kind of talk to them. That's another account. You imagine, maybe for many of us, we've been on the internet for maybe 10 years. You have 10 years worth of accounts. And the truth is, most of us are still using the same password we created the first day we stepped on the internet. We never changed. Which means all the accounts we created from the day when we are young, the first one we create, till today, many of us are working now. We're still using the
Yes.
same password. Maybe we add numbers behind, but it's the same password.
Yes, yes. We prefer to keep the password for longer time. Rather, all the websites, like the online websites, they suggest that change your password in every 90 days. They send us reminders also that it has been a long time that you have changed your password. Change it now, change it now. But we don't do it. That who will remember the new one? Let it be.
So I used to work in the government before I joined Google. So they had the 90-day, in government, sometimes they're more strict about passwords.
Okay.
So they have this every 90-day, you need to change your password, right?
Huh.
But it is so easy to guess, because you just think, how long has the person been working at the job, right? You divide by 3 months. Whatever number is behind the password, you just plus 1.
Okay.
Most people will choose the same password, then they'll just change the number plus 1. Oh, 90 days is up, you need to change your password. They just add a number plus 1, plus 1. So it becomes easy for the bad people to guess what the password is. They just need to know how long you've been working there. They look at your LinkedIn, or they look at some profile, and then they just divide, and then they just guess. So it's not difficult. So even the changing of password doesn't really work. It's good to have totally different password for every login.
Okay.
And then I will have to teach you how to do that, right?
Yes.
So this is what it'll look like at the end of the day. You will have so many keys, you don't even know which one to use for the lock anymore.
That's true.
So this is an example. For example, if you want to log into google.com, so this is a fictional example, right? You take out your strong password. So we had this, I love, to go to visit Kolkata for the food. Remember this one that we had?
Yes.
So this is your strong password. So you want to log into google.com, what you can do is you can take a few letters off the URL that you want to log into, right? So I'm taking the last 3 letters, and then I insert it into my super long password.
Okay.
Do you understand this? I can insert it anywhere. I don't have to put it in front. I don't have to put it behind. I can put it in different places of the password. And now, by doing this, every single login, I would have a different password. Yeah.
Okay. That's a good idea, but again, okay.
Because you know where to put the letters, and you just look in. If you log into Facebook, then you take maybe okay, my last 3 letters of Facebook, and then I put it in the same place. So every password is going to be different. I'm not saying use the same way where I put. You find out where you want to put. Find out which letters you want to take. Maybe you take the first 3. Maybe you take the second, third, and fourth. Up to you, but only you know. Yeah. So going on, the other way is to use a password manager. Right, so there are a few password managers out there. The big ones are 1Password, which is an app. LastPass is also an app. These are not by Google, but I wanted to kind of bring it out there because these are the bigger names that we use for storing passwords. They're normally an app, so you might have to pay some money for them. But I use 1Password, and I'll be frank, it has saved me so much time and effort to remember passwords. It's worth the money you invest.
If I can ask in between, are they secure? Because we are talking about browser safety and security. These apps are secure.
Yes, I totally love that question because my job is not to tell you what's the best way. My job is to make you think and calculate what the risk is. Right? So whenever you use an app, you go, is it secure? So now when we use a password manager, right, your mind is thinking, how can I put all my passwords in one place? Isn't that not safe? And you are totally right. There's a risk, right?
Yes.
There's a risk that, let's say I use 1Password, and if it gets broken into, I lose all my 270. But you compare that risk to using the same password for everything. When I use the same password for everything, if I lose any one, that means I have 270 homes. If one gets broken in, all my homes get broken in.
Oh, yes.
Right? Which means that my security of my password, if I use the same one, is as high as the weakest website I log into. So if the weakest website gets broken, I lose everything. For this one, I put all my passwords into one place, and I just need to keep an eye on that one guy. And I need to make sure that one guy is not broken into.
You just have to remember 1Password that will open this app for you.
Correct. So you remember one long password that will open this app. This app will then fill in the password field for you, and then you are good. Right? So another place to put it is we have passwords.google.com. So if you use a Chrome browser, Chrome will ask you, do you want to remember this password? And then you remember it under your Gmail account. So that's another way to do it, right? So the question still exists. What if my Gmail gets broken? What if everybody steals? But now I just need to keep my eye on one guy. I don't have to look at all the 270 over websites that I go to make sure none of them got hacked. And I can safely use different passwords for every login. You know, and I can remember all of them because the app allows me to. So the thing about passwords, if you use the Google Password Manager, right, what we also do is we also check all the passwords that you use against compromised password lists. Because sometimes bad guys will steal passwords and then they will put it on the internet for everybody. That means if I break into this, let's say I break into a website and I stole the list of usernames and passwords, some bad guys publish that whole list. So now you know that that password and that username combination is already compromised. So what the Google Password Manager does is it checks all the passwords that you save on it to make sure it's not on any of those lists that have been released. So moving along, I mean, I think yesterday there was a presentation, right? And it talks a little bit about storing passwords on notebooks.
Yes, I was about to ask this, that keeping passwords in this app is not exactly like maintaining a diary of it for it.
So the question I always ask people, is it safe to put your passwords in a notebook?
Yes, that's what it is. They should.
Right? And most people, at least my generation of people, would go like, no, that's the worst thing you can do. Because when we were young, you remember when you got your first bank account, right? Your parents created a bank account for you, they put in some money, and then maybe they give you a card or a book, and they tell you better keep this. You cannot show anybody, right? There's a password, and maybe you have access to an ATM, right? A machine, and then you have the PIN number, and they gave you this envelope that you cannot look through, and then you tear it open, you remember, and then you tear the envelope into many pieces because you were afraid people would know your PIN number. So we've taken that concept of security and we've moved it to the internet world, and we go like, you cannot write your password down. But the truth is, most people who steal your passwords are not people who know you. They're not people who are near you. They're normally people who try to guess or try to send you that. For example, I send you the email about the shoes 90% off. I may not know you, but I'm just spreading it out there. I've sent this email out to the whole world, and maybe some people will respond and actually fall for it.
We actually receive some spam mails, a lot of them.
Correct. You know, and they're just fishing. They're just waiting for people who are gullible enough. So I'm hoping all of you listening that today you know not to respond to those, to be very careful where you put your password. So coming back to this, right, the question of compromised passwords, if you use different ones for different places, you're a lot more safe. If you write it down on your notebook, right, what happens is the only people who can steal the notebook are the people around you. So my advice, if you have friends who will steal your notebook and steal your password, the truth is you need to change your friends. Right?
Very true.
Actually, I had one workshop participant who told me, the problem is not my friends, it's my mother. So for that one, I got no cure. I have no solution. Yeah, because
to the problem.
No, because our parents. I mean, it's true. I have the same problem. Sometimes parents they want to know, right? So sometimes they look around, they snoop around a bit. I mean, that's very common in Asian families. Yeah.
But it is important also. We need to keep an eye on our children, what they are doing.
We do need to keep an eye on our children. We do. So if you write your things on a notebook, it is relatively safe. It is a lot safer than using the same password for everything. One tip I would encourage, if you write on a notebook, have 2 notebooks.
Okay.
So that if you lose one, you don't lose all your passwords.
Okay.
Right? So the 2 notebooks are mirrors of each other. One you lock up in your cabinet, one you bring around when you need to use. And then you make sure that they mirror each other. A smarter way, if you don't want your mother to find out your password. Remember, I taught you how to create a unique password, right? You insert different letters into your password. When you write it down in your notebook, insert nonsense characters into the password that you know you won't key in. So even if, let's say, your friend steals your notebook or you lost your notebook, the password that they key in is not the real password because you inserted some characters that actually don't have to be there.
Okay, that's a good idea. Wonderful.
Right?
Yes.
So what I'm teaching you now is actually encryption. I'm
Huh.
teaching you high-level encryption, and you're doing this in a very practical, very day-to-day way of doing it.
Only I know what extra numbers I'm adding or what extra letters I'm adding to the password. And I'm
Yes,
using the password which is mine. And if I lose the notebook, the other person doesn't know which numbers I have added extra. He or she
correct.
might feel that this is the password that he or she can use. That's good.
Yes. Yes. All right. Now to move on a little bit. So we'll talk a little bit about two-step verification. I know that many of you have banking accounts, so you're quite familiar with this, right? You have a token, or maybe you have an SMS. So I'm here to tell you that most online services also have two-step verification. So if you're using Gmail, you can turn it on. If you're using Facebook, social media apps, most of them allow you to turn on two-step verification. So you put your phone number, and then when you log in for the first time on a new device, they will ask you, do you have your password? And then when you key in your password correct, then they say, we have sent an SMS, a text message to your code to your phone. Can you key that code in, right?
Yes.
And then you key that code in. What this does, hang on, is it makes it harder for a thief to steal, because now the thief needs to steal two things. The thief needs to steal your password, one, and then the thief needs to steal your phone, number two, right? There are also other ways you can use it besides your phone. You can download an authenticator app. So if you search for Google Authenticator app, there's an app that can generate these special codes for you. So you may not incur the cost of a text message by phone. So I'm telling you, if you can, turn this on for all the major services that you use, your email, your social media, anything that's important to you. If they allow you to turn on two-step verification, do it. Put in your phone number or get the app and then use the codes generated by the app. I hope, as we move on to the mobile phone, I hope, you're absorbing this. I hope it's useful for you.
Very much useful. Very useful.
I'm
really
so
appreciate
glad to
that.
hear. But tell me,
yeah.
Tell me if I'm going too fast or I'm okay. Timing is okay.
No, exactly fine. It's going smooth.
That
we are
is
getting to your questions. I'll take them later.
Okay.
I'm sure some of those questions we will answer during the session. We are still left with some time. So let's wait for your presentation to complete. Then we'll come up with the questions. You can go ahead.
Looking at the time, I want to leave time for questions. So I will go halfway through the mobile phones part, and then I'll leave the other half for tomorrow. That's okay.
Okay. That's absolutely fine. But if you want to complete, you can give this information. And tomorrow, as we said, the topic will be completely different. We can go ahead with that also.
Okay, we can do that too. I'll see how the time is.
Yes.
So our mobile phones, right? The mobile phone is now, I think, almost the most important thing we have on right? It is the key to all of everything. We can call our friends, we can talk to our parents, we can search for information that we don't know. We can answer questions, we can do translation on the phone. There's so many things we can do. So I'm asking you, when you leave your phone, I know most of us won't leave our phone around because it's expensive and we are afraid people may steal it. But sometimes even at home, we just put it on our desk, and many of us, sometimes for convenience sake, we don't lock it. You pick it up, you don't want to have to key in a password, right? Sometimes. For some of us who have the more advanced phone with like fingerprint recognition or facial recognition, maybe it's easier. But most of us still have to key in PIN number or something. So sometimes for convenience sake, we don't put that in. But it opens us to so much attack, because if your phone gets stolen, if you go to a place and eat and you put the phone on the table, somebody snatches your phone away and your phone wasn't locked, or you don't even have a password on it. Now the person has access to everything. I can go straight to your email. I can go straight to your social media. I can do everything without having to log in because your phone is already logged in. So one thing is always lock your phones. And on Android phones, you're allowed to use this pattern thing, right? To log in. So basically, you move your fingers in the pattern. That's how you unlock your phone. The one thing I want to encourage most Android users who use this way to unlock the phone, turn off the line. Because most people, we leave the line on so you can see where your finger has gone, so you can see the pattern. Okay. There's an option to turn off so that you already know where your finger goes. It's okay, you don't need to see the line, right? The problem is, even when I take a bus, and I'm sitting at the back of the bus, and I look at the front of the bus. I see the guy unlock. I can see the line from very, very far away. Immediately,
Yes.
I know the password for his phone. So if you turn it off, at least I can't see where your finger went. So if you're familiar with how to use the phone, you can turn that off, and it will protect you a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll teach you things like, if you lose your device, how to find your device, how to make it play a sound, how to lock and how to erase. These are things you need to know, because I know many of us, much as we hate it, we have lost our phones before, or we've had our phone stolen, or somebody took our whole bag and our phone was in there, right? So it's important to know how to do this. So if you're using an iPhone, there's the Find My Phone feature. If you go to another phone, you can log in and find your phone. You can make your phone ring. You can find out where the phone is as a map. All right. For those of you using Android phones, I'm using an Android phone. It is even easier. You just go to the Google page,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're in a place where you normally use your Gmail or not, you're in a logged in session on Chrome. You just type Find My Phone. You just search Find My Phone, and instantly it'll pop up. Right? It will try to locate where your phone is. There'll be options. Can you ring your phone? No, do you want to lock your phone? Do you want to delete the data? All the things are there. And it's as simple as going to the Google search page and typing Find My Phone. And if you're logged into the session, they will search for all the phones that you're logged into. This is something, I'll be frank, this is so useful, but something I didn't know until a friend told me. And it's so simple, because I keep looking for where's the app for finding my phone on Android. And they say you just go to Google and you type Find My Phone, it'll find your phone for you. So sometimes even in the home, sometimes we leave it in maybe in the sofa and the cushion, you didn't see it, and you're looking for it. So you just go to your computer, type Find My Phone, you can make it ring, so once it makes a sound, you know where it is. So it's a very useful feature to have. And then the next tip I want to encourage people to learn is always know whether you're an open network or on a secure network, right? I know that today most people don't travel, we don't go out. So the network, the Wi-Fi we use is the home one, right? And we have password to use our home Wi-Fi, and hopefully that is safe. But when we were traveling and going out and going to cafes and using Wi-Fi outside, it's very important to be careful what you use on the Wi-Fi that is not yours. Right? One example I always use is that whenever I see people at the airport, and you're in line at the customs line, and the line is very long, and you're very bored, and because you're in a new country, right? Your data plan doesn't work. Your SIM card doesn't work. You haven't bought the data plan yet. And so you're searching which Wi-Fi is open, which Wi-Fi is free, and then you look for the airport Wi-Fi, and then you log into the airport Wi-Fi. Right? The first question, how do you know that is the airport Wi-Fi? It could be me setting up the Wi-Fi spot just to catch people using it, right?
Yes. We don't think it like that. We think that it's airport Wi-Fi. Yes, we can use it for the timing till the time we are waiting for the flight.
Correct. And because we see it says airport Wi-Fi, so it must be the airport Wi-Fi. But if I were a bad person, I would definitely put airport Wi-Fi, free airport Wi-Fi. And then you definitely go in. And then whatever you do on my Wi-Fi, I can see, because you're sending data to my network through me, and I can do a lot of things. Right? Many years ago, when I was in the IT field, I would go for conferences, and we would all use the same Wi-Fi because data plans were expensive. And out of boredom, what I would do is I would sniff. That means I would see what people are surfing on this same network that we're in. And because people don't know that I can see everything on the network, I would just download pictures that they were looking at. So I'll be quite interesting, because somebody's giving a talk at a conference, and I'll be like, wow, somebody's looking at shoes right now. Or somebody's looking at, holiday to Hawaii right now. Or all these I can pick out because we're on the same open network and things weren't locked in. So, I mean, before you do banking, before you do the important stuff, I think it's all right to go on the airport Wi-Fi if you just want some information that isn't sensitive. I think that's okay. But the moment you exchange sensitive information, be very careful which Wi-Fi you use. Even if you go to your local coffee shop and you want to use the Wi-Fi there, right? Be very careful about, is it really the coffee shop's Wi-Fi? Is it not somebody else setting it up? And if I want to do banking, maybe I should do it when I go home, or I do it on my own data plan where I know this is mine and it's not somebody else's. And then when you go to a website, sometimes you see there is the secure button, right? HTTPS. Sometimes you see it's not secure.
Not secure, yes.
Whenever you see it's not secure, don't send sensitive information to that website. It is not that the website is not secure. It is that the connection between you and that website is visible to everybody. So the example we give, when you see a website, the address starting with HTTP, it is like a postcard. So for those of you, I think I'm old enough, right, to send. Some of us are old enough to know what sending a letter means. Yes. I think some of the younger people, they don't know what a letter is because everything has been email. But when you send a postcard, it's a card. You write, hi mom, I reached safely, how are things? And when you post that postcard, the postman can read it.
Anybody can read it.
Anybody can read it.
Yes.
So this is like sending information over HTTP. Anybody can read it. When you have HTTPS, it's like taking that same card, putting it in an envelope, sealing it, making sure only the recipient can open it. So now the postman gets it. He cannot read what is inside. It's sent to the recipient gets it, opens it, then can read it. So when you're doing banking, always make sure HTTPS is there, that everything is locked, so that in between you and the bank, you can communicate, but nobody can intercept that communication in between. Right. So I think we're at a good time now where we can go into Q&A. I have a few more slides, but I think I can leave that for tomorrow to continue, if that's okay with you, Neha.
No problem. We have a couple of questions also that we can go ahead. Like the first one, which was coming in my mind also. Is there any method to know who is using my Wi-Fi and what is he watching or what is he using for? Because when we step out of our homes, till a certain distance, we can get our Wi-Fi. That means others are also getting it. And if they get it, and if they crack the password and they are using my Wi-Fi, is there any way that I know that somebody is using my Wi-Fi and what is he doing with it? What is he watching? How is he using it?
So in most, so this has to do with your Wi-Fi router, right? Your Wi-Fi router is the one that is emitting the Wi-Fi network, and then you can log in. So same thing, for your Wi-Fi network, use a strong password. Don't use the same one you always use for everything, please. Use a different password for your Wi-Fi. That's one, right? So you lock people who are not supposed to get on the network out. So your question is, do I know if other people are using it?
Yes.
In most routers, especially the modern routers, they have apps that allow you to talk to the router where you can find out how much data has the router used, how many devices are on the router. And what I do is I always look at how many devices are on the router. Any device that seems, this is not my device.
Okay, yes.
Right? And then you can choose to block that particular device off your router so that that device cannot use. The problem with us these days is if you live in a very connected home, that means you have a lot of people with a lot of devices. It's very hard to guess, because my wife can come back and maybe it's her phone, maybe it's her work computer, maybe it's so many different things. So unless you label every one of them very neatly, it's very hard to guess which one it is. But the question is, do I know what they serve, what they see? Probably not. So most connections should be secure because there are a lot of privacy issues if you can view what everybody on the network is doing. Yeah.
Okay. Another question that I want to understand is sometimes we log in at any, in our computer to any website. It asks for save login so that you can, easily access the same login next time. Is it a good decision to save the login? Is it a wise decision?
So the first question is who is asking? Because you're going to save to somebody. You need to find out who is asking. Most of the time, when they ask you, do you want to save your password? It is the browser that is asking. So if you use Chrome and you save it, it goes to passwords.google.com. So that means Google will store your password for you. The next time you come here, it will log you in. If you're using another browser like Firefox or Microsoft Edge, any of those other browsers, they will store the password for you. So your question is, if you trust them, do it. If you don't trust them, then don't do it. Then keep it and just remember it or write it in a notebook or use a separate app to store it.
Okay, as you said that airport Wi-Fi example, so we have a question asking that is how to differentiate between an open Wi-Fi and a secured Wi-Fi at a public place.
If I'm going to be paranoid, right, as most security people are, if I don't own it, or if I didn't pay for it, if I don't know who the other side is that's giving me free stuff, it's hard to trust. So when you go to an airport, what I always do is I always go up to the information counter and I ask them, is this your airport Wi-Fi? Just to confirm that it is the airport's, it is not anybody else's. And they say, yeah, this is the airport Wi-Fi. Then I feel more comfortable that number one, I'm using a service that the airport provided. I'm not using a fake service that somebody else come up with. So I think that's the beginning. I'm not asking all of you to stop using everything. Like when you go to an airport and you're in customs, you definitely need to contact people that I've landed. But before you jump on the Wi-Fi, the small step, just make sure that the Wi-Fi is the actual airport Wi-Fi. Maybe look at the poster on the wall to find out if that is actually the airport service. But these are small steps we do to protect ourselves.
Okay, and another question, as you said, how do I mask my digital trail while using an open network?
So there are a few ways to do it. It depends on where we are masking. The first one, if you want to mask it from the network itself, this is where you set up a VPN, a virtual private network, right? You can normally get this, there are online services that allow you to set up VPNs. So a VPN is basically, for example, if I shout to my wife who's in the hall right now, my children can hear.
Yes.
Right? But if I take two, if you guys remember this, if I take 2 tin cans and I get a string, right, and I talk to her quietly, my children cannot hear.
Yes.
So the VPN is a little bit like a tunnel that allows me to talk directly to my private network, and then my private network will handle all the rest of the calls. Right? So in a sense, my VPN protects me from people who are listening in. Okay.
Just now you talked about the router, that we can talk to our router and understand. People want to know, how do I talk to the router?
So the difficult part is this differs from different routers. Every different router would have a different way of logging in. My advice is, if you have your router manual, look that up. The newer routers would have this capability. The older routers probably do not. It's a little bit harder. You would need to bring your laptop to the router. You need to plug in the cable, and then you need to access, right, the interface to find out which devices are on. So some are easier, some are harder. It depends on which router you're using. So I can't give one answer to all the routers right now.
Okay, and is there any way to know how secure an open network is?
The truth is,
can we check the security? That is the thing.
So if it isn't your network, then I don't know, because I don't know who I'm talking to, right? I don't know who's giving me the data. I don't know what's happening in between. So the only trust I can have is when I talk to you. So for example, I'm talking to all of you right now. I don't know who's listening, but I trust Neha because Neha set this call up. So because I trust you, we can have a trusted a relationship, and that's how things work. I trust who is providing the Wi-Fi, and then there's the implicit trust that you won't steal my data.
Browsing is the same, like we browse social media, we browse for our banking services, we browse for online shopping, we browse for our location services, we browse for various different issues, different uses basically. So is the browsing same for everything? Browsing means same for everything.
Do you mean the data, the privacy that you give up?
Yes.
No, it's not the same for everything. So I'll give you an example. So when you search on Google, we sometimes do take note of what you search for so that we can give you better answers. If you go on YouTube and you watch a video, YouTube records down, these are the videos you seem to like. So for example, I watch a lot of basketball. Right? So you remember, oh, you already watched these, so I won't show you the ones you already watched, but maybe you like the new ones. So different services will take down different amounts of data to provide better services. But as a consumer, you need to know what privacy you're giving up for convenience, right? You need to know, so a lot of it is always in the terms and conditions, which are very, very long, right? And most people just click, yes, I agree. But if, for example, for Google services, if you go to myaccount.google.com, in that website, so myaccount.google.com, there is a privacy checkup. you can click on that, take the privacy checkout. We will tell you exactly what information we keep about you, and you can turn off the ones you do not want. So you feel comfortable with what I'm sharing, what I'm not sharing. An example would be, I had one participant at a workshop ask me before, why do you need my location data when I use Google Maps? Right? It is private to me. Why should I tell you? And I just told him, you can use Google Maps without location data, but I cannot tell you where you are. So if you say like, I need to go to the supermarket, how do I drive there? If you don't share your location where you are, I can't tell you how to drive there. So you need to give some information, then I can give you some service. So that exchange needs to be very fair. And as a user, you need to know exactly what you're giving and what you're getting back.
Okay, you need to maintain a balance in that. There's one more thing. We generally delete history from a computer. And we believe that our browsing history is deleted. Nobody can access it. Is that true?
It depends on which computer you're using. So I think we delete history from computers that are not ours.
Yes, of course. Like in offices, we have our shifts. So I'm there in office for a particular shift. I'm using a computer, and while shutting it down, while leaving the office, I delete all the previous history, whatever I have been doing in my shift. And I believe that it will not be visible to anyone else. So is it not visible to anyone?
So when you're using your office computer, most offices would have some terms and conditions when employees sign on. That whatever you do on company time, it is the company that decides how much rights we get as employees, right? So if I use a company computer, I can expect that there's an IT administrator who gave me my email, who gave me the access to the internet and all of that. And I can safely expect the IT administrator to have sight as to what I'm viewing, what I'm seeing, has sight to the history, even when I delete it from the local computer, which means the next person sitting in will not see that history. But I'm sure from the administrator side, they would probably have sight of it.
I think they should have, because what you're doing in office time and with the office internet and office computer, the administrator should have some access. That is, I think, fair enough.
Correct. One simpler way, if you find yourself always going back to history and deleting, a simpler way to browse the internet, you can launch what you call an incognito tab or incognito window. So you can go to File and a new incognito window. And what an incognito window is basically when you close this window, all the history is deleted. So you just surf within this window.
Just like a private window that we have in our...
It will delete all the cookies. It will delete all the history. Yeah, so it helps. But the problem is when you go to an incognito window and you try to find, what did I search last time? There's no history. There's nothing. And everything you log in, you need to log in for the first time because they don't store any information at all.
So we are talking about browser safety. Two things. What is the safest way to browse the internet? And secondly, what is the most secure browser, if you can suggest any?
I mean, I'm from Google, so if you ask me, of course, it's Chrome. Right?
Chrome is secure, and in what ways?
Chrome is secure because we have teams of hundreds of the world's best engineers working daily to make sure we keep our users safe. Right? User trust is really, really important to us. We don't ever want to betray your trust, which is why even when we gather data, we want you to know what data we gather. We want you to be okay with the data you give to us and the services you get from us. So that is the trust element. And I've been working at this for 5 years at Google. I can tell you for a fact, we are all very invested in the safety of our users because we know that keeping you safe means we get your trust. And when we have your trust, we have a good relationship together. Yeah. So, I mean, when you talk about kind of browsing safety, it also depends on what you browse and what you do. So, for example, if I want to download the latest movie for free, bad idea because immediately from what your parents teach us, right? All our parents teach us, nothing is for free. When I want something for free and somebody's telling me, come here, I give you something for free, that's when all your senses should activate and go like, no, there's something wrong here. Right? So things like that's how you stay safe. You always be a little bit more cautious than the next person.
Can anyone see my browsing history, the internet activity, that whatever I'm doing?
Depends. Yeah.
please.
So if you're using it at a computer, at a library, for example, or using a public computer, and then you walk away and you didn't delete your history, the next person stepping there is able to see your history, right? Another example is if, let's say, you use your computer and then you sell it to a person who wants to buy it from you, and you didn't delete the hard drive. Of course, the person has all the data. So there are many things that we could lose if we're not careful.
Okay, is it advisable to leave your phone number on your social media accounts?
Oh, it's not advisable at all.
Because some business point of view, people do leave their phone numbers. But what do you say about this related to privacy and safety, of course?
I will totally tell you why. I mean, I used to do that because it makes it easier for people to contact me. So immediately they can WhatsApp me, they can tell me, oh, so I put my number there. What I realize is now, remember I talked to you about two-step verification, right? Where you have your password and then you have the code sent to you via SMS, via text message. What we discovered is bad guys have gotten very good at spoofing SIM cards. That means they pretend to be your phone number to steal that code. Which is why I say you can download the Authenticator app, because that's better. It's harder to steal that code than to steal the SMS. So because if you put your phone number there, and if I target you, if let's say you are a high value individual, right? That means I think your social media account is worth a lot of money, or if I can influence, if I can post something, I can change a lot. And if I have your phone number, means I can create a SIM card with your phone number on it, which means whatever text messages you get, I can get.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a big thing.
Okay. There is a technical question. I'll read it out for you. Would a higher WPA certification helpful in securing our Wi-Fi network?
So this has to do with the WPA and WPA2. There are different formats of securing your Wi-Fi network. I think that WPA2 is sufficient for most people. It's highly encrypted. There's a strong password. I think that's sufficient for most households. Right? So the question, we always balance. If you want higher security, you're going to get less convenience. If you want more convenience, it's going to be less secure. So you always look at what you're securing. If you're running a nuclear reactor in your house, that means you're doing huge nuclear things and you need to protect your house. Then, of course, you make your walls thicker. You have more locks, right? Everything else is increased. So if you're just doing, like for your house, WPA2 is more than enough. You don't need to go all the way up. Yeah.
Okay. Because many of educators and teachers will be watching us, I need to understand, because these days we are taking online classes, and it is for the primary classes as well as for the secondary and upper secondary and senior secondary as well. So how to manage these security issues with the children, especially with the minors, and of course with the majors as well, the adults as well, because what they are doing with the password and with the system, we are not able to understand. How to keep an eye on that?
So for the last 2.5 years, I've been talking to families a lot, because I realize that parents are probably the piece of the puzzle that we really need to get invested. So as our children use technology, and I know that for the last month and a half, right? If you have a child, you've probably let them use the device more than you like, because they can't go out. They can't go out and play with their friends. So you give them the device, and okay, you have some downtime, play some games, watch some videos, do something. I would advise parents to know exactly what your children are doing online. That's number one. And rather than a technical solution, that means, oh, is there some app I can use to monitor everything that they do? There are apps like that. But before you go to the app, I would rather you create a strong relationship with your child. That means your child feels comfortable talking to you about what they do on the internet. Because that's the most important thing. Even if you have an app, they will find some way around it. It is like, when I talk to people our age, they always say, the children these days are so clever. They always find ways to go around. They always find ways to break the rules and go around what we set up. And I remind people, when we were young, our parents always tell us, you watch too much TV.
Yes.
Right?
So we do it today also.
Yeah, I'm going to take away they take away the cable to the antenna, so you don't have good reception.
Yes, that's
true. That
true.
was how our parents punish us when we were younger, right? And then we discover, if you take a clothes hanger and you put it into the socket, it can become an antenna.
Yes, I remember those days, of course. But these days, if you stop the television, they will go to some tab, and if you stop the tab, they'll go to the phone. They have so many options at home available.
I just wanted to highlight we are the same.
Yes.
We are as innovative as they were, which also means that if we communicate to them in a way that they understand, they can then talk to us.
Yes.
If we treat them different, if we tell the children, you are always so naughty, always on the device, and we don't see ourselves as young people, then the relationship is broken.
Okay.
That's when they stop talking to us, and then we don't know what they do on the internet, and that's when it gets dangerous.
Last 1 minute for us, and last question also I'll like to take. I'll read out for you. This is related to Google Assistant. That can voice be intruded by Google itself?
Can voice be?
Intruded by Google itself.
So whenever you search on a Google Assistant, it is just like a normal search. It's like typing it in. So the voice thing basically translates that into text. And then basically the machines will run the textual search and deliver back to you in a voice form. Okay. So it's not very different, yeah. So that's basically it.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Lucian. But we are meeting again tomorrow with yet another session on the topic, don't fall for scams, protecting your online reputation. So this session would continue. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Neha, and all the best to all of you in India. Stay safe.
Same to you. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much. We'll see you again tomorrow. That's all for now. Namaskar.
Namaste.